and welcome to Mrs. Mummypenny Talks podcast, The Big Questions, and my guest sat to below or above me, I'm not really sure how it works, is wonderful Martyn James, the consumer expert and TV star. I'm sat next to a TV star. Except
well, so am I.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me on, Lynn. And I know it looks like, I look like your grandparents' curtains at the moment because it looks like it's because the sun's come out in winter. I'm very confused by all of this. So it's not been some careless hanging of clothes. It moves.
Yeah, no, it's just to explain to the listeners, we've got a bit of a lighting issue where half of Martyn is grey and half of him is black.
Yes. Well, I've had worse lighting in my life, let's face it.
Haven't we all? So, yeah, thank you ever so much for coming on the podcast and joining me to talk about the big question, which I'm so excited about. Like, I say this every week because I'm so excited about all my big questions. The price of love, which is... Oh, we're going to have such a juicy conversation. So before we go into the big question, please tell me who you are and why you do what you do.
Well, now there's a story. I started many, many years ago, back in the early 2000s, working in finance. And initially, I started off teaching businesses, helping businesses how to deal with tricky customers, how to handle complaints on the telephone, things along those lines. And from there, I went to work for the Financial Ombudsman, the free alternative to the courts, where I was in charge of media. And basically what happened was I was chatting to journalists and giving them my views on money matters. And they would say, oh, do you want to just come on the telly and say that? And so that's how my television career began. And that's how I became a proper money journalist and then a consumer rights journalist. That was 15, 20 years ago now. So all roads led back to showbiz in the end. And I started off my career as a dancer. So there you go, full circle.
I guess you were destined to end up on TV though, because you are you're a very dynamic person. And like when I've met you in real life, like events and stuff, you're just warm and personable. So I think this kind of personality is always going to work well on TV, isn't it?
Oh, thank you so much. She means loud and pushy, listeners. But leaving aside that, I just love it. I think the thing is, like you, my passion is taking these very difficult and complicated subjects and making them plain English. I think both you and I have found our niche in the world of broadcasting and journalism, because there's very few people who do what we do, which is to try and simplify these things. And actually the biggest compliment I can get, which is sometimes meant as an insult, and I don't care, is that I'm dumbing down the nation. Well, brilliant, because why speak to the 5% of the population who already know how all of this stuff works? I want to reach all of the people out there who are scared to talk about money, or who might be in debt, or who might have messed everything up and never see the possibility of clearer skies with their finances. So this is what it's all about. I'm passionate about that part. And this is why it's so lovely to be on the show.
Yeah. I wholeheartedly agree, right? Because it's such a male complicated, and I know you're a man, but it's such a...
Quite a camp one.
You do have a flowery shirt on, so I think, yeah, it's a beautiful shirt. But it's such a male-dominated world where people talk in really complicated language, and it makes it really scary. And the thing is personal finance is not scary. It's actually quite basic. It's spend less than you earn. It's like do a little bit of planning and research, like have some savings, like learn how to do a basic budget. Like, I think if you can nail all those things, then... I mean, I say that like flippantly because I'm horrendous at managing my own money, and I fully admit this, and I write about it all the time. But yeah, it's just one of those areas, isn't it, that we need more simplicity.
Absolutely. And, I've been reading your latest column. This sounds like a massive love in, everybody, but this isn't pre-planned. We do genuinely do this. But your recent columns about your debts and the situation you found yourself in over the years. I also passionately believe in talking about those things. My debts hit £30,000 when I moved to London because it was an absolute nightmare trying to move house suddenly and things along those lines. And I don't think people want perfect experts.
No.
When we were growing up, the only people who you saw on the telly who gave financial advice, as you say, were men generally who never made mistakes.
Yeah.
A lot of whom came from, without putting too fine a point on it, a more privileged background. And it's
Mm-hmm.
much easier to take risks with money when, it doesn't matter that much about if you lose it. Whereas actually what I'd like to do is encourage and empower people, and women in particular, to feel that they are able to actually dip their toes into the world of finance without fear and understand a little bit more about how it works. But I think the most important thing is to, as you've been doing, is to say, look, I got things wrong, but I came out the other side and look at where I am now. So I think that's a much more important message.
Yeah, and that also relates to love. So it's good little link up there. It's as if you work in telly. I love it. It's so nice, isn't it, when it's like journalist to journalist, because you literally like can link into each other. I did an interview yesterday with the Mirror,
Mm.
and at the end of it, she was like, "That was the most perfect interview ever. Like, you've literally written my article for me." And I'm like, "Well, I am a journalist as well." Yeah, so it's good, isn't it?
No, it's nice. It's nice when you see your own tips kind of appear elsewhere as well. Because I'm not precious about that as long as AI hasn't nicked it. But when you do
yeah,
see kind of like little ideas and things that have been borrowed by colleagues, actually that's great because the whole point of this is you want to get them to as wider an audience as
yeah,
possible. So that's also lovely.
yeah. Although I do think it's really important to give credit because
Yeah. Oh yeah.
yeah. There's certain anecdotes I share all the time. There's a particular one which I've already done on another podcast, which came from Claire Barrett at the Financial Times.
Lovely, Claire.
Oh, we love Claire. But I always credit her, and it's about pensions, and it's about oh no, I need to say the anecdote now. I'll say it very quickly.
Do it.
But
Do it.
she describes pensions as a Boots meal deal or a Tesco's meal deal, whoever you want to have a meal deal from, where the pension is the sandwich, and that's the bit that you put in. And then the bit your employer puts in is the bag of crisps, and then the bit that the government puts in is a drink. And what's a meal deal, without the drink and the sandwich? So I just think it's
Yeah.
such a perfect way of explaining a
It's,
pension.
Claire's going to be furious that I'm now stealing that one.
It's amazing, isn't it? Yeah, but I always give credit where it's due. Okay, right, let's get on to the big question then. And let's talk about the price of love. So how I'd like to kick this off, and we probably need to be careful about this, is if you share your love stories, and I will share my love stories. I have more than one.
Yes, me too. Well, when we were chatting about this, it seemed like just such a good subject because we can talk about the important things like joint financial arrangements and what awful terms like joint and several liability mean and all of the important traditional things. But let's face it, when it comes to love, all of our senses go out of the window sometimes. We can make very rash, bold decisions
Yeah.
without necessarily thinking about the consequences. I mean, my former partners are hopefully not listening to this. Well, I don't mind if I might encourage them to actually, but I'm often very over the top when I meet somebody and I fall head over heels in love with them. It's not happened very often, but in the past, I've said, "Oh yeah, don't worry about that. I'll pay for this. I'll do that." And even it reached the point where actually my previous partner was living with me rent free while he had a house in Manchester that his mortgage was being paid off by a tenant. And of course, when the end of the relationship came, he walked out with most of his mortgage paid off, and I walked out with absolutely nothing. And it's a reminder that that was my choice, though. I said that this is how the relationship will be. I made that call. I wanted to make a big dramatic statement about how much I loved him and and that money didn't matter and all of those things. And 7 years later, I regretted that because I had nothing to show for it at all. And it's just been a reminder to me ever since that being in love is a wonderful, wonderful thing, but sometimes we do make some quite big tactical errors because, without putting a downer on things, lots of relationships won't necessarily go past 7 years or 15, or a lot of things can happen and things can go wrong. And I know we don't like to admit that, but we do have to be a little bit money mercenary and think, what if? And if you don't want to think about ever splitting up with your partner, what I would say is, okay, even more morbid, let's go with it. I would say, that's nice. You're going to be in love with forever. You'll be forever until the end of time. What if he or she gets hit by a bus? Then what do you
Okay.
do? Where's the money? So if you can't imagine your relationship ending, imagine them being taken out by a high-sided vehicle. That could happen. And then where would you be? So it's things like that. There'll be lots of people right now thinking, "Oh, what if my partner was taken out by a high-sided vehicle? Fabulous!" But leaving
Life
aside
insurance.
that, and I think these are the things that we do need to talk about. Let's be honest about how we can be naive and foolish with the majesty of love, but it makes sense to have a backup plan.
Oh my gosh. Because you totally described like how I enter into relationships, or in the past. I think
Yeah.
I would do things very differently now. So I I've had like two major relationships in my life. I I met a guy who was quite a bit older than me when I was 21. My dad had died literally 2 years before. I was totally looking for another father to look after me. I have discovered this in therapy. I'm totally fine with it. And he was lovely. He was a really lovely guy. And we were together for 5 years. We both worked in the city. We were both accountants. We were earning like really, really good money. We bought a house together when I was 23, 24.
Wow.
It was it was almost like the financial dream if I'd actually stayed with him. But he was too old for me, and
Yeah.
I got bored, so I walked away from it, and it was really amicable when it ended. We'd made some money on the house. He was like, "I'll just give you 25 grand," and I'm like, "Lovely, yeah." We split up all the stuff in the house. It was the most amicable thing ever.
Wow.
It was lovely. We didn't stay in touch, but yeah. And the only thing that's gutting about it is I left all my vinyl records in the loft. Anyway,
I'll show. I'll show you after our interview. I finally dug I've held on to my vinyls over the years. It's the only thing I have held on to. I'll give you a sneaky peek of mine later.
What's really annoying about it is that I'd collected every single Wham and George Michael single ever.
No.
Anyway, it's fine. I could probably contact him and get them back. I don't know. Yeah. So that was my first major relationship. So we split up between Christmas and New Year when I was 27. Which was brilliant timing from Lynn. Well done for telling somebody the relationship was over. He knew, but he didn't want to be the person to end it.
Yeah.
And I'm a bit more like, fuck it, I'm just ending it and it be over. 6 weeks later, I met my husband to be in a nightclub in Southend, and I kissed him before I spoke to him. And
Oh, we've all been there, Lynn. Don't worry. What's your name again?
but then I ended up marrying the guy, so like these things happen. But I exactly how you describe. We fell totally in love with each other, and nothing mattered. I had quite a lot of money at that point because I had a really good job. I was working for Tesco's as a sort of commercial finance manager. I had a house. He came to me with debt. But we were in love, and nothing was the Prince song, "Money Doesn't Matter Tonight." Money didn't matter.
Yeah. Ooh, good reference.
Yeah, I love Prince. we need to do as many musical references as possible throughout this interview, I think, because we've done George Michael, we've done Prince. Okay. And
Amazing.
so yeah, we he'd moved in with me within 3 months, and I was pregnant by sort of 2.5 to 2 years 9 months into the relationship,
Wow.
and then we got married. So yeah, and now I'm divorced.
If listeners are thinking quite a bit's missing from that story, fear not, you can read Lynn's articles.
Oh my
I'm
god,
sure we can
I'm
fill in some
laughing
right. Well, I think it's really good that that you're sharing that, Lynn, because the thing is, I think the one of the misconceptions that I certainly hear from from listeners and from people when I'm out and about around the UK talking to people, um, is people assume that there is a certain type of person, that you're always the kind of person in terrible relationships, so you're always the kind of the person who's sensible, and actually we can be both things
Mm,
at the same time. You can go from as you say, being the in many ways the leader in the relationship, the one who walks away, the one who arguably has all the power, not that it's about power, um, but into another relationship where all of those principles just go out of the window. And it's so, and that's the weird wacky thing of love, because it doesn't matter
yeah,
precisely who you are. Ultimately, if somebody comes along and sweeps you off your feet, you'd be astounded about the stupid things that people will do. I've just been doing Scams Week, as you have as well, and speaking to people who've handed over £150,000 to people they'd only been talking to online. And whenever I write about this in newspapers, I get some very rude readers who just go, "Oh, they're just a bunch of wankers," blah 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 blah.
mm,
And actually, it's not, because when you look at how the fraud's perpetrated, it's so convincing. It really, really works,
mm,
because fraudsters target us in the areas that the weaker. They target our fears, but what's the one thing that everybody's looking for, even if they don't want to admit it? It's the magic of l'amour. And it just, just a chance in later life. At the start, if you're feeling a bit lumpy or weird or you don't fit in, then these people, particularly if you've never experienced a master player,
yeah,
these people are so good at ripping people off. And obviously, I don't want to ruin everyone's days like this. If you're getting ready for a night out while you're listening to this, don't panic. They're Mr. or Mrs. Right or whatever else is in between. They are out there, and it's they are waiting to meet you in real life. But as with everything, you just have to be really cautious. Lynn, the one thing I'd like to know though from you, because I've been on both sides of this debate, and I don't know what the right answer is should we move in with our partners, or as I'm doing at the moment with my fabulous boyfriend, also called Martyn? How lazy is that? The I know when you hit 50, you can't even be bothered learning someone else's name. So there you go. So I found a Martyn who's got the same personality as me. Job done. Basically, it's quite a narcissistic action, isn't it? But we're doing the thing that was popularised by Tim Burton and Helena Bonham Carter. I mean, admittedly, it didn't work out for them. Which is, we live in separate places, and it's brilliant
How
because
long have you
I
been
see him
together?
nearly 2 years,
Wow.
and it's great. He lives in Derbyshire, but I'm from Manchester. I live in London. He's got a 4-bedroom house, and I go up north and we go horse riding and paddle boarding in the summer. And he comes down here, and we have a scooter around Brixton Market, and we go and explore. We go out dancing, and it's the best of both worlds. And the really boring days in between, your Tuesday to Thursday,
Yeah,
when you've got those are the bits where you don't want to be with your partner because you're cleaning your underwear and you're mopping the floor. All of those bits, those the
yeah,
chores days. So, but the best bit is you actually miss the other person. Now, financially, that you've got to be in a place where that's physically possible, because I think a lot of people move in because it makes more financial sense to do so. But am I unromantic, Lynn? What do you think?
that's interesting. And I wonder whether, because I think we should go there, if there's a difference between, you know, different types of relationship, whether that be
Mm.
heterosexual or not. uh,
Let's go there. Yeah.
yeah, let's go there. um I have a lot of gay friends who have done various different things, actually. The whole
Where
world
is
of,
this going?
yeah, because yeah. Maybe that's for another podcast episode. But
Yes, tune in to Mrs. Moneypenny Nights.
that's a good idea. I am actually, one of my guests is Alex Fox, who's do you know Alex?
Yeah,
She's Alex is a sex and relationships journalist that is one of the co-writers of Sex Education. When she told me that,
yes,
I'm
that's going
like,
to be
oh my
fun.
god, I love that show. And she also writes a lot for the Guardian. But yeah, she's going to be the one I talk to about sex and relationships.
Yeah.
She's very cool. She's the most beautiful person in the world, and she always wears amazing clothes. Yeah, right. I'm fangirling her. Need to shut up. Right. So, what was the question? Oh yeah, status of relationships. So I think the money side really comes into play here, because
I
I
do
am a
too.
single mum living in a house in Hertfordshire with my 3 children. If I had a partner living here with me, quite traumatic. I'd have to share a bedroom with them. Not sure I'm ready for that.
That's the
But
one, yeah.
also, like, so my if you exclude sort of debt I'm paying off, my monthly bills are around three and a half, 3.5 grand a month, 4 grand a month,
Yeah.
let's say. So if I shipped in a partner, I would be able to half that. I mean, maybe not half, because my children are mine. I wouldn't expect him or her to pay for all my children. I don't know,
Mm.
actually. But and also it depends how much money the other person's got as well.
Yeah.
But also, because of where I've come from, where my last relationship, I was the breadwinner, I earned a lot more money. Like, I will never get into another relationship with, unless somebody's on at least parity with me financially, or maybe earns a little bit more. um I couldn't be with somebody who earns significantly less than me again, because it fucked me over, right? In the divorce, I had to give him a lot of money, because when you get divorced, and when you split, officially our kids were split 50-50, even though the kids now live with me. But because of, at the time, this is all out there in the public arena, it's
Mm.
fine. Yeah, because we split the kids 50-50, the money got split 50-50. But then, like 4 or 5 years down the line, the kids now live with me, but I can't backtrack on that, because that's not how the
No,
law works. So I don't think people actually realise this, that the children determine where they want to live, not the courts. So the courts determined 50-50 for us, but the children
yeah.
all did their own thing.
And do you know, I'm so glad you raised that then, because I think a lot of women I speak to don't realise that that's the case.
No.
They don't realise that they could actually be paying out more in the event of a divorce. And I think it's kind of I mean, you can argue that's kind of reverse sexism. You can, all of those other bits and pieces. But for many people, particularly if you are the principal caregiver, I think that's quite scary. So I think we've got this whole kind of unromantic kind of conversation. A couple of things here. Then, do we need to think about money before we start having kids? Again, not romantic and sometimes not technically practical. And also, how much money less will you accept? What if you met somebody with a lovely soul who was a charity worker and all of that? Would it still be acceptable? And another question, so I'm firing all the questions at you. Would you take on someone who has debts of more than 15 grand?
No, no way.
Yeah,
No way. Because I've been in that situation,
yeah,
and
me too.
no, it like, when you're in the lovely parts of the early, the early few months of a relationship. I No, I can't say that. No, no. I was dating a guy recently for quite a while, and the fun part of an early relationship, I'm not with him anymore, but the fun part of an early relationship is going out for dinner and doing those really nice things. And you both have to be able to afford to do those kind of nice things if that's what you're
Mm.
into. And I have been in other relationships where you go out for a walk all the time where it's free, but it's just, I like going out for dinner and those kind of things. So
Me too.
yeah. So no, I wouldn't. I mean, I'm not on dating sites or anything like that. I haven't been for a really long
Mm.
time because I've moved to the mindset, like the kids, that you have to meet people naturally. So I go to day clubs in London, and that's where I meet. It's the best
Yeah,
place to meet people in real life. Like, we've got to go back to the old school. Like,
yeah.
uh,
I met mine in real life.
sorry.
I met mine in real life, so yeah, it works.
Yeah, like dating apps just don't work. And also, if you
Mm.
think of the commercial model of dating apps, they keep going because they need people to keep paying the monthly subscription. So that means that people are constantly splitting up, or dating. So yeah, they're set up on a flawed commercial model. They're set up on a model to make people split up with each other.
Oh yeah, it's quite deliberate as well. It's what we, to use a very dainty old metaphor, it's like the Victorians. It's a little flash of an ankle, just to lure people in. But then you don't get. I mean, you get flashed a lot more on the sites I've been on. But the fact of the matter is, the you don't get enough information.
No.
They monetize the number of photos you can share, the number of profiles you can look at, the amount of information that can be provided. And the reason for that is it's not financially a good model, as you say, for them, for people to find love, because this isn't like Cilla Black on Blind Date, kind of
Mm,
buying a hat and going, "Oh, we've got a wedding," because that's back in the news at the moment.
yeah.
Um, it's the it this they don't benefit from people, from a stat saying, "Oh, 27% of our users found true lasting love." You're right. It's a merry-go-round, and meeting people in real life. I mean, this is one of those things that I encourage people to do. There is a lot to be said for going out. It's also good for the confidence, I think. It's very easy to stay in at home and give up, and I understand that because I've been depressed in the past, and I've not felt that I was able, particularly as I was getting older. I didn't feel that I was ready to put myself out there anymore, and I thought, well, I'm happy, I've got friends, but actually going out there is a reminder that you are still fun, that you are still a sexual being, and that
Mm.
people might actually fancy you. So it's good for the soul as well to go out. So I'm all for it. I mean, so should we be putting some cash to one side for our fun budget rather than our love budget?
Oh, I mean, I've always had a fun budget.
Yeah, me too. I need to take money out of the fun budget.
And also, like, because I'm sure, so we are recording this before Christmas. This is going to
Mm.
go out in 2026. Um, but I put it doesn't. Don't worry about the light.
I love it. Yeah, if viewers will see that I'm moving around to avoid the unexpected
Yeah, you
seasonal
need to put some
winter
sunglasses
sunshine.
on, maybe. But yeah. So I have a budget for Christmas, obviously, because a lot of people in interviews at the moment are asking me, how do you save money for Christmas? I'm doing a big campaign for the BBC about Christmas, and I've got some money set aside for a Christmas present for me.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm so glad that you said that as well, because again, we focus on love and romance. Sometimes again, because we're focusing on the grand gesture, you're throwing all of your money at somebody else. Like in some way, that kind of defines you if you get the best present or the most thoughtful present or the most
Yeah.
ostentatious present. But you need to get a present for yourself. I mean, I was just up in Glasgow filming BBC's Scams Week from up
Yeah.
there, and I was by myself of an evening. So I went on a date with myself. It was great. I took myself out around an art gallery.
Oh,
I got a
lovely.
great recommendation for a restaurant. I had a three-course meal, next a fabulous bottle of wine. Wobbled home, just so that I could get
That's
ready.
so cool.
And it was brilliant. I had a fantastic date with me. It was lovely. The conversation was good too.
Did you so I've just had a weekend in Nice, and
Nice.
everybody does that.
Sorry, I can't help it.
And And you know what? I laughed the first time, but now you've done it the fifth time. I'm not laughing anymore. I ended up spending quite a lot of the time, sort of 2 of the 3 days by myself. And I've never been on holiday properly by myself because I've
Mm.
always been too scared to do it. And I absolutely loved it. Like I winged it. This is the kind of person I am, right? So there was a foodie tour on the Saturday, and
Love those.
of Old Town Nice, this like beautiful
Yeah.
3 hour tour, and there was no places on it, but I knew where they were meeting at 11 o'clock in the morning, so I just rocked up, and I was like, "Can I have a place on the tour?" And they're like, "Of course you can." So I mean, I'm not sure I
That's
got
a
a
great tip.
discount, but it was such a good tour. There were like 3 German women, there was one Ukrainian woman, and then the tour guide was French Belgian and me. So I know everything about the money economics of like all of these countries now. Because like at lunchtime we were sat with our cocktails, and I was like, "So tell me about the economy in Germany." It was brilliant.
Oh, that's okay. And well, again, I approve thoroughly of these things, because we talk a lot about love, but actually enjoying the time that you have by yourself is really important. I mean,
Mm.
I found dining alone was the trickiest part of going away on holiday, but I discovered that if I had a book with me, it took the pressure off. I didn't even look at the book very often, to be honest, but just knowing something that I had there. So every time I thought people are looking at me thinking, "Oh, that sad man is all by himself." If you've got a book, it suggests that you're being confident and you're doing your own thing, even though you're not. You're exactly the same, and it's kind of like a crucifix against a vampire. It just makes life so much easier. And as soon as I discovered that little trick 10 years ago, brilliant. I love traveling by myself. But again, the problem is a little bit like sharing the bedroom, as you were mentioning before. When you finally do meet someone new, you have to think, "Oh, am I willing to share this?" Because I actually quite like going away by myself. I've got very used to this king size bed. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and that's something I come up quite a lot against in dating is
Mm,
people who are set in their ways. Like I think God, we're meandering. I think I am a very open-minded person, and I think I'm getting more open-minded as the older I get, which is, I don't know, maybe that's just, and because I grew up in Cornwall, I moved up to London. I've I think sometimes people, when they are born in a place and then stay in the same place and always do the same job their whole life and always have the same friends, I'm just constantly evolving. Like I'm motivated by meeting new people and doing new jobs. Like I would never, I've changed my career. I'm just about to change into a third career now, and I'm 48. So it's just how I like to live my life, and I guess I'm like that with relationships as well. Like I'm not sure that anything is really for life. My children are for life. I will
yeah.
say that. And I do actually have some friends who I've had pretty much for life as well. Like not many, but yeah. So I just think you you have to be careful to not get set in your ways, because when you're going into a new relationship, like you think when you're dating, surely we're dating because you want to be in a relationship. But I think there's a lot of people who are dating because, I don't know, they just want somebody to flatter their ego, or they just want to have sex, or they just want to have somebody to go out for nice dinners with. They just want to have somebody to have a conversation with. Like I've been in relationships where all they want to do is talk on the phone. Like, what's that all about? I've
Yeah,
not been in
that's
a
the thing.
relationship, but like men have tried that.
Isn't it strange? And that's such a reminder that we are all different, because it's all very well us,
Mm.
us flighty broadcasters like going, "Ooh, well, we want this and we want all of this from life." But actually, I meet a lot of people who, they want a long-term relationship. They want the two up, two down with the dog
Yeah.
and the two kids. And, there's a song by Lily Allen called Chinese where she's saying all that she wants to do on the weekend is sit down with a partner and have Chinese food and everything. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, appreciate Lily Allen's probably not the best example of long term relationships. But
I love
it's
Lily
the
Allen. I
I
love
know I love her so much too.
I really, I'm desperate to meet her. So if you ever get an opportunity with Lily Allen, can I be your assistant?
Oh my god, I'll try and engineer something because I love Lily Allen too. I think she's fabulous.
Her
But
new
again, I think
album is the best. Sorry, sorry.
it's oh no, it's absolutely amazing. I mean, this song's on the second album. It's which is funny, which is I have to get this the right way around. It's called "It's Not Me, It's You," which
Yeah,
again is a hilarious relationship content, so which is brilliant. But there's nothing wrong, for people listening to this and thinking, "Oh, well, I just want a partner to stay in with and watch the telly." That's good. You need that. The key here, though, is knowing that you're prepared if something goes wrong, because a lot happens to us over our lives. Every couple I speak to, like my parents and indeed lots of other people who are in long-term relationships, will all confide at certain points and say, it's been tough. I've had to
yeah,
work through this. I've had to ignore this. I've had to get past that. And we're not talking about things like affairs here. We're just talking about the fact that two people are going to get on each other's nerves, even if they're, you could be identical twins and you'll get on
yeah.
each other's nerves. My mum's an identical twin, so I know this.
So, right. So this is a big question. How do you
Mm.
know when to walk away?
That is a very, very good question indeed. I would say there are two factors to when it comes to splitting up that you need to factor in. First of all, what is your gut telling you? Not your heart. What is your gut
Mm,
telling you? Are you worrying all the time about what the next day will bring? Are you worried that life is slipping away from you and you're not actually living it anymore? Are you spending all of your time consumed with jealousy, and all of these things? And it doesn't matter. We're doing this on the basis that you're the person who's in the right. You might be the arsehole.
yeah,
I mean, that's the other factor as well. So, and are you holding someone else back just because
yeah,
you're awful and you've had like loads of affairs and you? So, I think it's knowing what your heart is telling you is one thing, but the other thing, and that's often overlooked, and it's way more important, is having a viable escape plan. Because most people in relationships, as we've both done, combine their finances, combine a home, and then when things go wrong, they stay in relationships for far, far too much time because it's simply too expensive to
yeah,
extricate yourself from that.
yeah, yeah.
Now, actually, there are loads of options that are available to people. None of them are easy. All of them
Mm,
involve downsizing. I would say to people, look, if you're moving into a studio when you've entered a relationship, this doesn't mean you're going to die alone in a studio with a cat eating your face. It simply means this is a temporary fix while you get back on your feet again. So don't knock your escape home. If you do, if you move out because that's the right thing to do, you will not be in it after a year. In fact, in many ways, if you're in a crappy flat for a year, that will motivate the
yeah,
hell out of you to get somewhere else. So think of it as a stepping stone. Something else that I
that's
always
good.
recommend, and this is because I was doing one of those radio programs about consequences, and what I thought was a really easy answer proved to be a ridiculously controversial debate. And the question itself was from a woman who was wanted to know if she'd done a bad thing because her husband had had an affair 10 years previously. And so she'd forgiven him, but she'd been squirreling away money. And he'd opened one of her letters from the bank and found out that she'd actually saved £30,000. And he was furious. He thought that this was an abuse of the relationship.
Oh my God, she's
Whereas her argument
protecting
was, well,
herself.
exactly. So I thought that was a black and white answer. I thought, oh, that's going to be easy. Let's move on to the next one. Oh, no. Lots
Really?
and lots of different views about this one. And lots of people who have been in similar situations but still felt it was a betrayal, which is why I would like to say to everybody listening, even if you're in the happiest relationship ever, have a separate bank account that bank statements don't get sent to your house with, where you keep an emergency fund. And that's
Mm,
not just in case your relationship ends. Sometimes, tragedies happen. I've had
mhm.
friends who've been in relationships with people from different religions, certainly gay and lesbian relationships as well, when the partner has died young and unexpectedly, and they've been shut out of everything and kicked out of the home.
God.
So it's worthwhile. These are very dramatic sets of
Yeah, yeah,
circumstances,
yeah.
but having an emergency plan to cover you under any circumstances. It doesn't matter how you justify it to yourself, is really worthwhile. So you could have that emergency money, and then one day the half your house falls down and your insurance is expired. Well, that will help you under those circumstances as well. So sell it to yourself, however you want to sell it to yourself, but put money to one side to
Mm.
protect you, because you never know what's around the corner. And it always makes sense just to have that emergency backup money. It will give you enough confidence to actually love somebody back completely. I think sometimes knowing that you can walk away is enough to actually make you say, I'm going to stay.
Yeah, because also, like, in a sort of going into like thoughts on relationship territory, but when I'm in a relationship with somebody, I want them, not need them.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I think there's a lot of relationships that I see where they need each other for many reasons. Financials is I know a lot of people that can't split up because of the money. They they literally can't, no matter how badly one of them's treating the other or how badly they're treating each other. Um, yeah, it's a strange one. And when I remember when I oh my gosh, it took obviously. So I made the decision to separate from my ex-husband, it was years. It took years to get to that point because we had kids together and all the financial stuff and all the logistics. I was worried about the bloody logistics of carting 3 children to all their different sports events at the weekend.
Yeah.
Didn't actually think about the fact that he always used to work on a Saturday, so I was carting the kids. I remember sitting at football match with one baby attached to my boob. I had one kid playing football, and then I had another kid like running around like a 3-year-old loon. So yeah, I'm literally like super mum sometimes, but yeah, I just think I can easily talk for hours and hours about the right and the wrong relationship, and this is the thing. It goes back to what you said before. Everybody's different and everybody wants different things, and also we all have different levels of strength, right? I am a strong person mainly because my parents died when I was a teenager, and it's made me fiercely independent and strong. So I've always gone out there and thought, right, I don't need anybody. If I want to leave a relationship or a job or a location or whatever, I will just do it. I don't have much fear,
Mm.
because I guess the worst thing happened to me when I was a kid, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, I know there are other worse things that can happen, but
No, that's as bad as it gets.
yeah, it was pretty shit. Um, but it does mean I don't have elderly parents to look after now. Yay.
Yeah.
Which is a big issue for a lot of people of our age and younger and older. But yeah, we've all got different things going on in our lives, isn't there? And there's no perfect answer. However, there are really significant things you can do to protect yourself financially. Be that having the emergency fund or a fuck-off fund, as it's known, protecting yourself in terms of when you're married and getting divorced and stuff. You can put things in place before you get married. Prenup agreements are, like, judges are actually taking them into account in divorces. I've got
Yes,
friends
they
who
are now.
do
Yeah.
them.
For years, no, but now this is interesting.
Yeah. Particularly in relationships where there's a lot of money involved when you're getting together. And I totally get it takes the romanticism out of a relationship, doesn't it? But like, I mean, I'm sure. Well, you've been burned and I've been burned, and we are old. We're middle-aged people. I'm not going to say we're older because I'm 48. I've still got another 40 years on the planet. Um,
Yeah, and I'm officially 38, even though that's nowhere near my actual age.
well, that's just the age you are forever.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, there was a Scottish designer who died recently. She never ever had her age out there publicly.
Oh, Pam Hogg, yes. I know
Oh,
she's one
I
of my
love that.
heroes. One of my heroes. And she never admitted her age. No, she just looked fabulous.
Yeah, she looked so, and she was really into bright colours. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, um, so yeah, I just think as I'm sure you are as well as I am, is be accepting of everybody. But oh my gosh, if you see somebody that's in a situation where you aren't, even that's a difficult one. I've tried to have conversations with people in the past, like, oh, I think you should protect yourself a bit financially there, and they're like, why? I adore them, I love them, they can have whatever they want from me. Well, okay, we'll see
I
what
know, but I love him, Daddy. I know it's one of those things. And that is actually a truism of the highest order. You know, as we all know, it might be a best friend, it might be a group of friends with someone who's got together with a wrong un. But the one thing you can be absolutely sure of is the second you give advice to split up, or the second they split up, and you go, "Oh, thank God that person was awful," they will get back together, and you will get blamed. So the
yeah.
hardest thing to do with friends is zip it and walk away, and sometimes have a spare room made up, which I have, just in case. But
Oh, that's nice, isn't it? Yeah, yeah.
you know, you
I've
said
often
something before, and it kind of really resonated with me. And actually, if you don't write about it in the next 3 months, I'm going to steal it and write about it myself. But you said it was there's it's the difference between wanting and needing. And actually, I think that's such a beautiful and vivid way to put it, because
mm,
being in a relationship, being in love involves both of those things, and it's necessary. You do need to have the bit of the craziness, but you don't need to be totally reliant, be it financially or emotionally. God knows you don't want to be that needy. So actually, I think the what we can all do is maybe have a look at our own relationships and think, what is the balance between want and need here? Have I got that balance right? If not, what can I do to address the situation? If it's financial, do I need to start secreting some money away to one side? Or maybe just having a look at how much flats are in the local area. Actually, it's things like saying leaving a house is not the same as leaving a relationship. It might just be easier to have some time apart, or it might just make it easier to slowly separate. But
mm.
there are answers to that. So I would strongly recommend, as I learned over the pandemic as well, go for a walk. If your mind's all over the place,
Oh,
go for a walk and
love it.
pace it out and think through all of these things and see if you can come to any conclusions about where you need to be, because it can also help improve your relationship as well. Because if you're confident about the position you're in, then you're also more confident about the relationship that you're in, and that's better. That can really help you turn things around.
So, do you think that we should become relationship therapists?
I'm loving this. I think I'm feeling a spin-off series coming on. Not that I'm crowbarring into your already hard-earned position in the media. Lynn. Oh God, he's like bustling in on my territory now. But yes is the answer.
Mm, yeah, yeah.
It's the
Right.
perfect balance between want and need. Let's do that.
Oh my gosh, I don't think I've ever been in a relationship with a perfect balance of wants and needs.
That's because you've not been in a showbiz relationship before. You see,
Uh, is your other half in showbiz as well?
no, but we would be in a showbiz relationship.
Oh, well. Some of my most perfect relationships, like I, I would like. Actually, I don't. I'm probably not 100% heterosexual, but my best relationships are with my best friends, and I've got
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes it evolves. Actually, I've got the OG best friend, which is
Mm-hmm.
Becky, who lives in Bristol, and we've been mates since we were 11. And we voice note most days. Then I've got my holiday bestie, Kate, who we voice note, but most days we never call each other. We just do voice notes, and
Yeah.
often very long ones. And then I've got Eve, who's like my divorce best mate, and we also voice note on a daily basis. Like, how am I going to have that kind of relationship with a guy? Like, I mean, I'm not having sex with any of these women, but they're giving me all the emotional support that I need.
And so that
And I
I
was
think
just going
that's
to say
something.
the thing that I'm missing is the intimacy, but how
Yeah,
important is intimacy?
and actually maybe that's the answer, because my best mate Shireen, we met 26 years ago, in my fifth week in London on my first day on my job, and we've been together ever since. We are from very different worlds, not least in terms of sexuality, but she's my best friend, and I'd be absolutely lost without her. I get so many more things from that. But it actually, having Shireen as a best friend and having my other female and male friends as well, means so many of them fulfill different aspects of my
Yeah.
personality and things that I need, that actually it does make it a bit simpler because I'm not looking for everything from one man, which is impossible at the best of times. So
Yeah.
actually, maybe the answer is have a big group of varied friends who provide those needs for you. And if you find a partner who kind of can do the rest
Yeah.
and accept your friends, then is that the dream?
Oh my God, that's the answer. Literally, you get all your emotional needs apart from
Mm,
intimacy from your
yeah.
mates, and then you just have your partner for a couple of the other bits.
Yes. Beautifully worded. I know. Have we solved it? Oh, I can't believe we've done that in an hour.
This is like the best podcast in the world. This this needs to be listened to by millions of people.
I think I need to go back and listen to it again, actually, because I'm actually making loads of sense and I've forgotten everything as soon as I've said it. So I need to go back and listen. But you've got so many good points there, Lynn. Honestly, that's why I loved the chance to come on the show, and I really appreciate
Oh,
it. And
thank
I hope that people
you.
listening are getting loads out of it as well.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. Like, I really appreciate it. Right, how do people find you on the Tinternet?
Oh, I am dead easy to find on the internet because it's Martyn with a Y. My surname's James, and if you pop onto my website, all of my newspaper columns and advice pieces are there for free. So help yourself.
Perfecto. And you're on TV and La Radio a lot.
Well, between the two of us, it's kind of a double threat, really, isn't it? So if one of us is on, then the other one's probably having a break, and vice versa. But we hope there's space for us all out there,
There
and
is.
I just love it. And I think the other thing I'd really like people to take away is yes, our TV experts' relationships are absolutely wonderful because what listeners and viewers don't know is how supportive we all are and how much you would imagine it was very cutthroat. There are a couple of people who are unpleasant. However, the bulk of those people who are out there are absolutely lovely. We really
Yeah.
love and support each other, and this is why it's so lovely. And I will always come out and help you in any way that I can by turning up and jabbering on with myself.
You're such a lovely person. Oh, that's really cool. I said 30 to 40 minutes and we've gone 52. Brilliant.
I don't mind. It was worth every moment of it. It was
Yeah,
fab.
that was
I
really cool.
really love being on the show.
Thank you ever so much.
Hello, Lynn. It suddenly occurred to me that I'm not actually giving you my best financial moments and my worst. So here's a quick video just to cover those off. Let's start with the best. Like you, I worked really hard to get rid of my debts. I racked up well over 25,000. I'm in denial about the exact amount that it was. I've blocked it out of my mind. And it took me a good few years to pay off those debts. I incurred them because I live in London. I had to move a lot. I was constantly trying to find deposit money. And I had to put a lot of things on a credit card because I wasn't paid enough money to actually justify living in London, really. And that was very frustrating. But ultimately, I managed to clear those debts. And I've got loads of tips on how you can do that, which you'll find, actually, I'll share them with you, Lynn. You've already got loads of these anyway. When it comes to my big financial regret, I suppose it comes down, if I think about it, maybe to mortgages. I was from a family where we never really had very much money and we weren't encouraged to get into debt or spend too much cash. So as a consequence, I didn't have the thing that more middle class or richer people have, where their kids are constantly encouraged to get on the property ladder. It was more about not getting into debt and making sure that you paid your own way. Now, over the years, I got very close to saving for a deposit, but I simply couldn't reach the levels that were necessary, not even for a shared ownership flat. So it took me until literally a year ago before I could actually buy my first property. And I sometimes think maybe if I concentrated a bit more on putting money to one side and saving for that mortgage, I'd have been a lot better off. But there's a fair chance I might not have been able to afford it anyway. So all in all, it is very frustrating, but you can still get there in the end. I hope that's good advice for you, and I have loved chatting to you. Please have me back. See you soon.